What's happening is there's a complete exodus of income keeps leaving New York because it's not treated well.
But some say the cost of doing business in the city is unbearable.
Some business owners say they feel like the city's abandoned them, and they worry if nothing changes, many businesses will have to abandon their neighborhood.
Mayor Mamdani is facing massive backlash as thousands abandon New York after the shocking $30 minimum wage plan sparks fear, layoffs, and economic chaos. What was sold as a lifeline for workers is now triggering business closures and job losses. As pressure mounts and the fallout intensifies, Mamdani is now scrambling to defend a policy critics say is tearing New York apart.
City minimum wage workers started the year with a raise to $17 an hour. Now, some city council members are actually trying to just about double that.
Yeah, and it's a plan that's being celebrated by labor groups, of course, but feared by small business owners.
The $30 minimum wage, once celebrated as a step toward fairness, is quickly turning into a ticking economic bomb. The neighborhoods that cheered Mamdani the loudest are now watching their corner stores vanish one by one. The people who were supposed to benefit, yes, the workers, are the ones feeling the squeeze first. Layoffs hit hard, and those jobs don't come back.
His campaign promise to make New York City home to the nation's highest minimum wage is now headed to City Council.
Mamdani's campaign promised a better life for everyone, $30 an hour, a wage that would finally make the city livable for working-class New Yorkers. On paper, it sounded perfect. The legislation is set to phase in gradually for employers with 500 or more employees, targeting the biggest companies first. But the reality is brutal.
The market should set the wage price. The market should set the clearing price of whatever goods or services you're buying. It's just crazy stuff.
Right now, the minimum wage is $17, meaning doubling labor costs in the most expensive city in the country. Small businesses survive on margins as thin as 2 to 6%, with labor already accounting for 30 to 40% of their expenses. Even in other cities like Los Angeles, hotels and restaurants implementing $30 minimum wage saw immediate layoffs before the law even fully kicked in.
I mean, look, these guys are working off margins that are very small, urban stores. I mean, except for some of the fancy European stores, but your basic mom and pop store doesn't have much of a profit margin.
The real numbers are shocking. A small restaurant with 12 hourly workers is looking at roughly $4 million in added payroll each year. The owners don't have many options. Raise prices and risk losing customers. Cut hours or staff and risk angering the remaining employees. Shut down entirely and watch the community suffer. This isn't an abstract problem.
But they don't understand the ripple effects. That then, if McDonald's has to pay $30 an hour instead of $17, the price of my hamburger also doubles because they can't afford labor costs unless they raise in.
The ripple effects hit diners, pharmacies, grocery stores, and every corner of daily life. Economists warn that the Cates Index, a measure of wage to cost of living pressure, could spike to 1.1 in New York City. That's historic. That's dangerous. The policy assumes prices will stay the same while wages double. That's not just unrealistic, it's impossible.
With 500 or more employees, as this is proposed, that would mean the current minimum wage of $17 an hour would rise to $30 an hour for 2030, and then it would be topped up each year after that with an amount equal to the increase in the cost of living.
And then there's the domino effect. When small businesses fail, everyone pays. Renters feel it first as vacancy rates drop and rents climb. Grocery stores and local markets lose the traffic that keeps their doors open. Even bigger corporations start reevaluating their presence. New York City is known as the capital of capitalism. Yet the very policies intended to protect workers are forcing businesses and taxpayers out.
Mayor Mamdani's proposed budget has scared a lot of people. Homeowners, co-op and condo owners, building owners, anyone who could see their property tax bills go up.
Meanwhile, the city isn't stopping there. Wealth taxes, property grabs, and death taxes are coming for homeowners. If your home is worth $750,000 or more, expect to pay significantly more in property taxes. If it's an inherited property, the city's estate tax could claim up to 50% of its value. That's not just numbers on a page. It's real families losing their homes or selling at rock bottom prices to pay the government. Utility bills are also set to rise. Companies like Con Edison and National Grid pay property taxes on their infrastructure, and those costs get passed directly to customers. Add the property tax hike on top, and households could see an extra $600 a year just to keep the lights and gas running by 2028.
Outside the single sector of healthcare, specifically home health aides, New York City's private sector employment actually declined over the past year by 38,000 jobs.
All of this creates a vicious cycle. The city promises frozen rent, free groceries, daycare programs, and more. Where does the money come from? Everyone pays, whether they are rich or middle class, homeowner or renter. The snowball of socialism doesn't stop. Each new freebie requires more taxes, more spending, more borrowing, until the system starts cannibalizing itself. The middle class is trapped. Those who can leave are already leaving. Those who stay are forced to fund programs they never signed up for and watch the value of their property and wealth evaporate.
Cost exceeds the marginal revenue, so you have to fire them.
Right.
All right. Without profits, you have to lay off workers.
Or close your doors, right? I mean,
or just go out of business altogether.
The consequences go beyond finances. Lawlessness and radical behavior are on the rise, with protests and demonstrations challenging American allies and supporting foreign regimes with hostile agendas. Streets that were once bustling with community and commerce now see instability. The people who stay are the ones who support policies forcing others out. And over time, the electorate becomes more radicalized, making it almost impossible to reverse course.
This cost of living crisis was affecting far more people than typical indicators would show. And what today's true cost of living report illustrates is that this is something which is affecting the lives of millions. I mean, 5 million New Yorkers do not earn enough to match the true cost of living in this city.
Meanwhile, businesses face an impossible choice: incentivize to stay or cut and leave. High earners, successful entrepreneurs, and investors will not risk a city where labor costs are skyrocketing and taxation is relentless. They can move to states like Florida, Texas, or Tennessee, where taxes are lower and business is welcome. New York can try to lure them back, but once trust is broken and neighborhoods are hollowed out, the city loses its competitive edge permanently.
Zohran knows nothing about economics. I mean, I don't know how many more examples of that we actually need to know that he knows nothing. But you raise the prices and you actually make the affordability, you raise the wages, the prices go up, you make the affordability.
The $30 wage mandate turns every discussion about automation from a polite suggestion into a survival imperative. Big chains and corporate players see the writing on the wall. They install machines, touchscreens, and automated checkout systems to save on skyrocketing labor costs. Meanwhile, small mom-and-pop stores don't have the budget for robots or AI servers. They can't compete. They close. The irony? No low-wage worker wins. Jobs vanish, businesses shutter, and the machines march in. A policy meant to help workers ends up accelerating technology-driven unemployment, leaving the very people it was supposed to protect out in the cold.
Zohranmamdani ran on a promise to make New York affordable.
A mandate for a city we can afford.
Last week, he unveiled a budget that is, in a word, unaffordable.
And then there's the city budget. Mayor Mamdani isn't just talking about private employers. He's applying the $30 wage mandate to city employees too. That's billions in new spending every year. Where does that money come from? The same pot funding schools, transit, sanitation, and social services. It doesn't get any easier because the corporate tax base is eroding. Commercial real estate is wrecked, thanks to remote work and companies downsizing office space. Essentially, the city is committing itself to open-ended spending with no sustainable revenue plan. The result? Working-class neighborhoods are bearing the brunt of policy failures. Street-level services start feeling the pinch. Libraries, parks, and local programs begin shrinking. Those who were meant to benefit from higher wages end up paying the price in other ways.
Many, like Paul Graziano, have lived in the neighborhood for decades, but now they're worried they could be forced out by Mayor Mamdani's threat of a huge property tax hike.
On top of that, the wealth grab is going full throttle. Property tax hikes get passed down through the energy delivery system, meaning Con Edison and National Grid effectively collect the city's new tax as part of your electric and gas bills. Add that to the cost of frozen rent, free groceries, and publicly funded daycare programs, and you have a snowballing system of socialism where everyone foots the bill. The predictable consequence? A mass exodus of taxpayers. The people who leave are the ones who can, while the ones who stay are more likely to favor aggressive wealth redistribution. Over time, the city becomes a laboratory of radicalized policy enforcement, where only voters who support extreme measures remain.
Absolutely impinge everything. I mean, I'm raising a 9-year-old kid, and everybody knows when you're raising kids, it's every dollar counts.
His taxes have already skyrocketed. When he bought this home in the neighborhood he grew up in, the taxes were $2,800. Now they're $11,000.
Neighborhoods are feeling it in real time. The businesses closing aren't Wall Street hedge funds. They're local diners where your server knows your order by heart, the corner pharmacy that delivers your prescriptions, the grocery stores that stock the shelves of your block. Job losses hit first the people the $30 mandate was supposed to help. Low-wage workers, often barely scraping by, now competing with automated kiosks and a shrinking number of employers. The working class that wants stability can't escape. The middle class, they're trapped under a mountain of taxes and rising costs. Lawlessness and radical behavior are spreading in tandem with economic stress. People feel less safe walking their streets. Local security struggles to keep up, and communities once tight-knit begin to fray.
Feel like the city's on your side and the side of small businesses? Or
No, because there's so many layers of nonsense. And
what was promised as better lives comes at the cost of community stability. The automation trap, the fiscal disaster, the wealth taxes, and the collapse of neighborhoods aren't isolated problems. They're intertwined, compounding each other in real time. Mayor Mamdani's $30 minimum wage and wealth grab policies are triggering a political and social fallout NYC can't ignore.